If you ask ChatGPT or any of your local stringers what is the best selling racket of 2025, the reply is going to be the Babolat Pure Drive 2025 and the Yonex Ezone 100 2025. Well, more precisely the Yonex Ezone lineup of 2025, but this is just the model that makes the most sense to compare it to the Pure Drive. Now, why is that? What do they have in common? What are the differences? And what is it that makes them so attractive to so many players all around the world? It can't just be the blue paint job, right? But the more important question that we're gonna answer today is which one should you pick as your next weapon of choice? Check out the specs.
Estás em minha mente, vocês lá em Estónia, deixas na mente. Veja que das listas pedi mais complemente. Outra tenda para que nós experimente. De que eres diferente, estás em minha mente, vocês lá em Estónia, deixas na mente.
So when it comes to why these rackets are so popular, the answer is very simple. They're easy. The Ezone 100 has literally been my #1 recommendation for people who don't know what they want from a racket and are just starting out with tennis. They both have a 100-inch head, which means a big sweet spot and big margin for mishitting the ball. They both have a 16x19 string pattern, which means they both spin the ball very well and they're both super powerful, meaning you don't have to have a perfect technique to get the ball over the net and deep enough with enough power to not make it an easy finishing shot for your opponent. Now, they both do that, but the real question really is, which one does it better? Let's start with the 100-inch head thing. Even though they are the same size, Yonex has the famous isometric shaped head, and this is really important because the sweet spot on the Yonex seems to be kilometers bigger than that of the Pure Drive, and that really helps when it comes to unperfect shots or when you get stiff on a set point and mess up your technique. The Ezone in those cases just has your back way more than the Pure Drive does. Now to the string pattern and their potential for spin and power. They're definitely very close in terms of the RPMs you're able to apply to the given ball, but it seems to me like the Pure Drive does a slightly better job than the Ezone. That is because the Ezone is just so powerful that it almost has no time to spin the ball. Don't get me wrong though, the Ezone can still spin the ball really well, but I feel like the Pure Drive just does a better job at that. Even though in the separate review of these rackets I gave a higher score to the Ezone in terms of spin, but testing them side by side I am leaning towards the Pure Drive, and that sort of leads into the conclusion of which one of these rackets is more powerful. Definitely the Ezone.
Glad, sorry for the interruption, but if you feel like one of the rackets that is spinning behind my back is going to be your next weapon of choice and there is no need to watch all the way until the conclusion, which I highly advise you do. But anyways, if you want to get one of these, the link to get it is going to be down in the description below, like always, together with our exclusive discount code that might save you some cash and that also really helps the channel. And I think that both of these rackets are actually back in stock on the Tennis Warehouse website. They might not be there for a very long time, so yeah, don't take too long. But on that, back to the Duel.
Although the Pure Drive is still a rocket launcher. It's hard to talk about control in such power-oriented rackets, but we still have to mention it. Because it is easier to spin the ball with the Pure Drive and it is slightly less powerful than the Ezone, you could argue that the control of the Pure Drive is superior. Like, it just is on paper, and if you randomly start hitting the balls left and right, you will most likely get more shots inside the lines with the Pure Drive. However, it's not all that simple. Because of the huge sweet spot and all of the tech that Yonex has put into the Ezone, the stability on impact is just so superior to the Pure Drive, and you can connect to the racket and to the ball way more than you can with the Pure Drive. I could call it better feel, but the lines of the term feel are very blurry, so I'm gonna call it better connection to the racket. Playing with the Yonex, you can better understand just how much spin you need to apply to the ball to get it where you want it, and with what angle you need to approach the ball to give it the right direction. So with all that taken into consideration, I'll have to give the control points to the Ezone as well. When it comes to the shot-by-shot analysis, both rackets are made for forehand domination, and they really don't care if your backhand is your main weapon, unless you're playing one-handed backhand, because when you see just how easily you can develop power on the forehand side, slapping the hell out of the ball on every down the line switch, you won't really want to hit any more backhands, and both of these rackets know it. They're both great at volleying. The Ezone just does a better job in my opinion at the net thanks to the bigger sweet spot, but they're both maneuverable and are both great choices for doubles. I have to mention the most important shot in the game, and I've seen both of these rackets serve over 200 kilometers per hour in the right hands with a pretty good precision, but it's just not the case in my hands. For some reason, both of these rackets are not ideal for me when it comes to serving. Maybe it has to do with the fact that I like more stable rackets that are more control oriented, but as I said, I think it's a me problem. Talking looks, I mean, it's subjective, but I'm really not a huge fan of either of these frames in terms of looks, but hey. So, the big conclusion time then. These are both good and versatile frames that could fit a variety of playing styles, from defensive to aggressive, to serve and volley attackers, and all the way to the 30 meters behind the baseline grinders, just as long as they're looking for a powerful, spinny, and easy racket to use, and hence the huge sales numbers. Now check out the comparison of the scores that I gave to these rackets throughout the playtest, but those are just for a reference. Don't actually take all of the scores very, precisely. It's just for you to have an idea. The main thing is the review and the actual comparison. If I were to choose one of these rackets to compete myself, I would most likely go with the Ezone 100. It has really grabbed my attention this year since its release, and its popularity is really well deserved. I'm not saying that the Pure Drive is a horrible racket by any means, and the loyal Pure Drive fans are loyal to the model for a good reason, but for me the Pure Drive is just a racket that I don't fully understand, and I feel like the Yonex has an edge over the Pure Drive when it comes to some of the stats that are really important to me and my particular game, and that's why I would go with it. That's it for me for today. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you did, hit the like button, subscribe, and hit the bell. My name is Grisha, and I will see you glads in the next one. Bye bye.
I just need time.